In the main alarm settings of MobiCall, several options are available for the alarms and for the global system to define. First option is the first to last alarm number. By default it is from 2000 to 9999 and can be changed. Keep in mind that this must match with the incoming phone call entries. First checkbox is to activate the MobiCall redundancy. By activating this box, a new folder for the redundancy settings opens up below the main alarm settings folder. In the redundancy settings, a second system can be defined to overtake the alarms when the master should fail at processing. Next box is the master, Supervisor Synchronization. Activate this box on an active redundancy to have the same settings on master and supervisor. Once active, you must only configure on the master. Next box is the setting Activate Multimedia Support with Camera Configuration. To send images to multimedia recipients, once active you have the possibility to add IP cameras to receive pictures or live streams to send those to possible multimedia recipients. Activate Skill and Presence State for persons in alarming. Activate for the possibility from the users to set their presence and skill status for the alarm, to let MobiCall know on what time the user will be alerted with what type. Activate Automatic Alarm Reports with HTML templates. Activate to let MobiCall generate monthly, weekly or daily reports to the user via email, printer or as PDF file. License required. The next settings are global and will be active for every alarm on your MobiCall system. Activate Standard Alarm Priorities. Here you find the global settings for priorities on every alarm, where you can define how many and which outgoing channels can be used in case of an alarm. Also, a reservation for incoming phone calls can be made in the extended priority settings. General Confirmation Settings. Here you find the global settings for confirmation on your system. As example, here you can define how often the confirmation message is being played, to get the confirmation before the voice message is being played, or to deactivate the confirmation for internal phone calls, etc. Escalation Settings. Here you find the global settings for escalations. As example, to set if you want from 19 confirmations as person or 100 confirmations as %, or you can set from 1 to 99 persons. Also very interesting is the parameter Start Escalation Alarm immediately when the alarm failed without waiting for escalation time. That means that as soon as a positive escalation level can be reached anymore, MobiCall will start with the escalation, without waiting for the in-alarm defined time. Conference Settings. Here you find the global settings for conferences on your MobiCall system. As example, the maximum duration of a conference, waiting time for a conference partner, commands to define when a DTMF key is pressed within the conference, etc. Message Settings. Here you find the global settings for messages on your MobiCall system. Here you can define the maximum length of your messages and the settings like Use Dynamic Message. If not specified, Use Static can be changed to Use Static Message. If not specified, Use Dynamic, and also what message should be shown in case of no dynamic and no static message. Settings for incoming phone entries is the setting where you can define the range of the incoming calls. Default is 10 to 1999. This setting must fit with the outgoing alarm range. In the extended incoming call settings you can define what the default entry is and some more special features. In the Group and Personnel Settings folder can be defined several options for persons and groups in the SQL Personnel Editor. First setting is the maximum number of groups setting. By default it is set to 90, and if more groups are required, a license for 3 or 4-digit group numbers is needed. The second setting is the maximum number of persons, what can be defined, 1000 by default. Next setting is the option to activate more than one option to reach a person. MobiCall tries to reach the person on the first entry, as example a call, and if the call should fail it takes the second entry. An SMS as example, as soon as the SMS counts as executed, MobiCall stops to try on the next entry. Only if it comes to an error the next entries will be processed by MobiCall. Next option is to turn off the group numbers in the personal editor by checking the box. If the customer is administrating his system, he can only choose the groups by name and not by number anymore if active. Next setting is to activate the special deck type DC. Only Alcatel. To send specific ringtones to the Alcatel deck devices, check the box to activate the phone type DC. Activate dynamic phone types for additional type specification is an option where you can define your own phone types for different applications when not existent by default. Activate login, logout function for person entries to give the user the possibility to log in or log out from the system to be alarmed or to be not alarmed, depending on his status. Activate the group in group function to assign existing groups to other groups. Activate this option if you want to add existing groups into a group, so you can contact persons in the group and parallel the group in the group. Activate dynamic alarm groups for a specified group. Range defines a range of group numbers where the user can't edit anymore. The groups are only available for being filled out dynamically via CSV file. Here is the option to import alarms via CSV file. Mostly it is way faster to import alarms via CSV files. By clicking on the icon with the 3 dots beside the file location field, you can choose the location where to find the CSV file. MobiCall will add these alarms by clicking on the import button. By pressing the show button you can have a look at the previous chosen CSV file. At the installation of MobiCall there has been created 2 alarm CSV files as example. First one opens up by pressing the open button beside basic CSV example file. There you are the alarm key, alarm name, group, alarm type, confirmation, text message and display message 1. By entering alarm key and alarm name and importing the file, MobiCall will fill out the empty fields with default parameters. The second CSV example file opens up by pressing the open button beside extended CSV example file and is filled out with all information what can be given in an alarm via CSV. With this file every parameter from an alarm itself can be defined. The person and group data can also be imported via CSV files. You can find them in the personnel and group data import folder. First file is the nvgroups.csv. With this file you can import the group data only, group number and group name. With the second option you can import the personal data in the nvpers.csv file. This is filled out with name, department, language, PIN, cost center, telephony type 1 to 6 and telephone number 1 to 6. Last file is the nvpers_groups where you have the person data and the group data and the assignment what person belongs to which group.